So we have started already. It's 7 o'clock, and I will soon be introducing our first speaker. Okay, so anyway, our speakers are not exactly seated in order. I'd like to also say our party attracts Singaporeans of all walks of life. We are not an elite or establishment or a type of very selective or subjective party. We are inclusive. People who are doing well in their lives, as well as people who are ordinary, average, honest, decent, hardworking Singaporeans. Yeah. So we are an inclusive party and we are a broad spectrum party. We don't discriminate against anyone. Yeah. And PAR's 4 main points with regards to this election, and as well as much earlier we are talking about, is cost of living. So cost of living affects everyone. Cost of living is a very broad spectrum topic. It is about food, water, electricity, mobile, internet, as well as public housing. The resale prices keep on going up. So cost of living, do you find that compared to now and compared to 5 years ago, do you feel better today than that you were 5 years ago? That is the question that we should all be asking ourselves. Do you feel better today than you were 5 years ago? So as the crowd slowly trickles in, to those newcomers at the back, I urge you all to take out your phone, record, post online, live stream, or take photos and post on social media to support our online. Okay, so I will slowly start introducing the candidates, and let's see who roll call like that right now. Okay, our first speaker I would like to introduce is, as I was saying, PAR attracts all people of all walks of life, but a very concentrated profession. I also don't know why, but within our party, we have got a lot of educators. Educators are very important in our society, our community, and our nation. Educators are basically teachers, can be from your preschool teacher all the way up to your university lecturers. They ensure constant, continuous, and consistent learning throughout life. So we have with us adult learning educators, as well as school tutors among our midst of candidates here, as well as lecturer and private school lecturer and private educating school director, as well as a preschool teacher amidst our midst. So we are concentrated on educators and teachers. So that, with that being said, our first speaker is an educational school director, a private educational school director, as well as in his fun fact, in his own time, he's a musician and he plays guitar, and he's a Beatles fan band, and he won a contest for the Beatles contest in 1999. So Mr. Silver Money, I would like to invite. A round of applause to Mr. Silver Money, please. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu, for a very outstanding and long introduction. Good evening, everyone. So we are here. I hope more people are moving in slowly. So we are talking on behalf of PAR, People's Alliance for Reform. And we are basically asking Singaporeans, can everyone hear? We want everyone here to be the change you want to see in Singapore. Do you agree? All right, so you're with me. And my fellow residents of Tanjung Pagar GRC and Singaporeans, a warm welcome to our rally. Tonight, I'm not here to tell you what you think. I'm here to remind you of what you already know deep in your hearts. Things are not the same anymore. The cost of living is rising like never before. Groceries, electricity, daily essentials every month feels heavier. Cost of living is burning a hole in your pockets. Be the one who stands up and says, enough is enough. Do you agree? Can you say it louder? Hope I'm not too demanding. By the way, change you want to see in Singapore, so you have to vote wisely. Jobs and income security is getting harder. People are working harder, longer, but not getting ahead. If you feel that struggle, be the voice that calls for further and fairer policies, real support and dignity in work. Be the change you want to see in Singapore. And let's not talk about immigration. Singapore has always been a global city. But if you feel your opportunities shrinking, if you feel like a stranger in your own land, you're not alone. It's not about shutting doors. It's about protecting your own. Even as we welcome others, be the change you want to see in Singapore. Education. Our kids are grinding from the age of 6. High stakes, exams, stress, tuition, and so forth. Are they getting the jobs? Are the income secure? What about the future they were promised? If you say no, then let's demand a system that values skills, creativity, the real world abilities. Be the change you want to see in Singapore. So you have to give us your support. Housing was the pride once upon a time, and now it is pricing people out in their own land. Young couples waiting years. Older folks downsizing their dreams. If you feel the weight of home you can't afford, be the one who demands better. Be the change you want to see in Singapore. And our parliament, it is supposed to be your voice, your dreams, your needs. If you feel like it's become a rubber stamp, super majority, and a quiet room when it should roar with debate, then, my friends, it's time we change you want to see in Singapore. And good governance isn't optional. Accountability, transparency, these are the basics of first world government and democracy. We work hard, we pay our taxes, we trust. If you think trust must be earned and kept, be the change you want to see in Singapore. If you believe your CPF, your vote, your choices should never be taken for granted, then stand up, step forward, and let your vote speak loud and clear. Be the change you want to see in Singapore. Do you agree? All right, that's the way. Singapore belongs to you, not just a few, not just to elites. It belongs to all of us, the workers, the dreamers, the elders, the youth. So tonight, I ask you, don't stay silent. Don't just accept your lot in despair. Don't just hope. Hope is not a plan. You have to take action right now. All right. Thank you. This is your time. This is your chance. Be whole, be brave, be heard. Be the change Singapore needs. Vote for PAR. Vote for the opposition for a better, brighter, and equal society for all Singaporeans. I thank you. Vote for PAR, People Alliance for Reform. Thank you. The next speaker.
So you heard it from Mr. Silver Money. He's also known as Mr. George Money or George Harrison of Singapore. Yeah. So another round of applause for his astounding speech. Yeah. Okay, our next speaker comes from the logistics industry. He is a senior. He's a senior logistics assistant. So this is a very ground-up, hands-on job. A senior logistics assistant, making sure of warehouse and how goods are stored, how goods are like the first in, first out type of thing. But it's a very ground-up, hands-on job, and he's quite an experienced person. He will be speaking to you in 2 languages: a brief introduction and speech in English, followed by Hokkien. Mr. So Lien Chai, also known as LC So. Give it up, please.
Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is So Lien Chai. So I'm first time in the stage talking to many people. Sorry. So, just a brief introduction. I'm a local. I'm born here. Luckily, I got a job. But not everybody might get a job. This is my 3rd job, I guess. But I've been walking around the ground. People, those graduates, they're going to find a job. I find that it's a sign of concern because they can't get a job. Then the cost of living. Yeah, we get some GST rebate, whatever, but then how long would it last? I don't think so it can last that long, right? And then they're increasing. So in brief, because whatever I'm going to say, the next speaker will elaborate more. So instead of speaking in Mandarin, maybe I would say in Hokkien. My Hokkien is not really real Hokkien, but then I'm a Hokkien. Trước đi tiêu liệt tôi liền trái, Kim mi lại cho cả những con người. Tôi thì cách đi con, nó đang tại địa lăng, cái hủy long thì kinh quái. Nếu cái gì nó cũng hủy à, quan là东西不简单啊，老实讲，跟你讲。nếu cái vấn đề thì cũng có cái cũng về thế này kia bảo bị nghiệp bộ căng rồi đâm đi được hoạt tô grab qua phong bùn lại năng cá công bây giờ cái trên tiếp bông à căng cái gì nó chân thằng cái tổ cái chờ bộ căng bây giờ cái tìm đi ông chân thì hội bản hoạt bây giờ lan để vì đồ chân lăng này làm binh à học bùn nó cái gì con nếu xin lắng lại,ที่ในกองมิงผมก็ไม่ได้น่าหลายว่าด้านใต้บัดอีนั่นแกคุยกันจะไปคุยว่าที่กันที่ไปกันงั้นน่ะแล้วจะบอกว่าที่ใต้ดีก็ที่บุษมีอย่างกงเว่ยที่ว่ากงเว่ยที่เขาถอดไปแล้วยังจะการที่จะนั่งกงเว่ยทุกแต่เกที่ใต้เที่ยงว่าเอาเว้ยหลังเกกงมิงแกตัวเดียวOkay, thank you.
That was a short and sweet speech by Mr. So Lien Chai. So we have heard from Mr. Silver Money that Singapore belongs to Singaporeans. Not like some of our PAP ministers quite a while ago said that Singapore belongs to everyone. Singapore belongs to Singaporeans. That is exactly what I'd like to point out on. So Singaporeans must get first rights to employment, education, and entrepreneurial opportunities. And that is just my short interjection while I'm doing my MC role. I double up. Later I will speak as well. And Let's see. So today, you have heard from two Tanjong Pagar GRC candidates. You heard from Mr. Silvermoney and you have heard from Mr. Solian Chai. And this today, we are holding in Jalan Besar GRC. Jalan Besar is all the way from Chinatown, places like Whampoa, places like Bendemeer and Boon Keng residents. So, I will introduce the first Jalan Besar member here today, all right? He is a mechanical engineering graduate, local graduate. However, right now, as I mentioned, our party attracts a lot of educators. He is currently an educator and a Chinese tutor. He's none other than Mr. Chew Shin Kong, our Jalan Besar GRC candidate. He is fondly known as SK Chew, very down-to-earth guy. So he will be speaking in English and Chinese as well. I give the floor.
Thank you, Prabhu. Good evening, everybody. This is my first speech. I would actually like to talk about our cost of living. So bear with me for a while, okay? Recently on a walkabout, I met an elderly lady. Let's call her Madam Tan at a hawker center. Now, she's retired with a few $100s a month from her CPF. Okay? What she told me was, last time, with $3, she can eat until very full. Now, $4, $5, the bak chor mee is hardly enough for her. Maybe only a few mouthfuls, then the bowl is empty. She also told me shyly that some days she has to drink plain water only. Okay? Why is this so? Because she doesn't have enough money. She needs to save the money for her medicine. Now, this is the real Singapore, okay? Hidden from all of us. Not the glossy brochures that PAP is painting to all of us. Not the minister's ivory towers, okay? This Madam Tan, she's one of those whom the PAP has left behind. And she is not alone. Now, the cost of living is actually rising madly. I believe you all can remember around 2 years ago, the one bowl of bak chor mee is around $3.50. Now, how much is it? $5. Yes, you're right. And $5, how much do you have in the $5 bowl? Lesser or more? Yes, much lesser. So what has happened? Inflation has gone skyrocketing through the roof. What is the government's answer? They tell you, oh, global inflation. Yes, they know it's global inflation, right? But why do they still keep on increasing our water bills? On the 1st of April, a few days ago only, right, at the beginning of this month, they raised our water bills. Knowing that, we have inflation already, they still continue to raise. Is that what we want our government to be? Yes. How about the electricity? Transport, all the costs have been rising. Ask yourself, has your salary increased that much? So, why are we being left behind? Okay? Pritam Singh already said that, this government, by raising the GST at this wrong timing, has turbocharged the inflation. He is right. And why do we know this? Because we have one daring member of the opposition in parliament who will bring our voices out. Without him, who will say this? Will you all be protected? All of us are in Singapore. Okay? This is Singapore. Anything affects us. The ministers, what about them? How about our mayors earning $660,000 a year? Do you know what is their job scope? We don't even know, right? But how come we are forced to pay them $660,000 a year without any accountability? At PAR, we will lower the cost of living by exempting taxes from essentials like food and groceries, utilities, education for the young until university, as you have heard in the public broadcast yesterday. Healthcare and medical services also will be brought down. Now, during the COVID period, I'm sure quite many of us have been through this COVID period. Remember the Trace Together saga? What happened? Okay, Lawrence Wong, he initially claimed that, I quote, "It's not meant as a way to detect offenses and breach of rules," unquote. What happened in the end? They took our Trace Together data and tracked us. The police had all the rights to access our data. And what did Vivian Balakrishnan say? He also came up with this quote, I quote, "purely for contact tracing, period." Now, how can a minister, okay, who has been paid millions of dollars come out and say that he had not thought of the CPC that will be invoked to pull out our data? Isn't this misleading us? What else are they hiding from us? Can we ever trust them again? No. Yes, you're right. If elected, we will ensure that there are checks and balances. No blank checks for PAP. Now, this is my personal experience. I was working in a MNC, which has been in Singapore since, I believe, slightly post-independence. Now they are still in Singapore and they are doing products that are not of very high value. In the first place, when we attracted them, Singapore wasn't a developed country like now. So what do we give them? Tax breaks, cheap rent, and other goodies to attract them to Singapore. For the past 40 years, we were expecting them to have technical transfer to our Singaporeans. However, as I know, a few years ago, when I was there, most of the top management, the topmost management is still a foreigner. Why is this so? We have given them close to 40 years to transfer their technical know-how to our Singaporeans. Are our Singaporeans not capable enough to pick up such simple skills and knowledge? Yes. We have university graduates from NTU and NUS, always ranking top 10 in the global surveys. So, why are they ranked top 10 but still not highly appreciated by these MNCs? Because, I should refer you to one of my TikTok videos, okay? I interviewed a Singaporean, okay, in his late 40s. He was working with an MNC in the hospitality industry. He has told me that he was retrenched recently. Why? Because most of the upper management are foreigners. And what do these foreigners do? They bring in more foreigners. They pressure the HR to hire foreigners. They will give a list of resumes to the HR. And in this list, the foreigners are placed on top. Is this what we want? So, who has been letting us down? Yes, PAP has been letting us down. As the Minister of Manpower, Tan See Leng should have ensured that MOM is supposed to enforce the rules properly. Make sure that we have fair hiring practices, not just giving the HR a blank check to just listen and be pressured by the foreigners who will just bring in their whole kampong. Another of my own experience, I was working in a big MNC in around year 2000. In the MNC, that was my first job. As a fresh grad, I was very inexperienced. Don't know how to play office politics. So, when the appraisal time came, as a Singaporean, one of the minorities in the company, my section manager, a foreigner, okay, he singled me out to take the rap because I was outspoken. Whatever he asked me to do, I did to my best ability. However, certain decisions, when he asked me to carry out, I felt that it was wrong. I questioned him. So, during appraisal time for revenge. He marked me down on core value. Now, those of you who are in the corporate life, you know, core value is an immeasurable yardstick. I can give you high points on core value, but other measurable points, you can score low, and I can bring your rating up. So anyway, after that, what did I do? I brought this case up all the way to the CEO, together with my friend, who also scored poorly. And the management was very pissed off with me. In the end, they make me take the rap and failed my probation. So, what is happening? You can see for yourselves. Okay, foreigner starting to bully Singaporeans since year 2000. As a Singaporean, I dare to stand up against my section manager and go all the way to the CEO. If I'm elected into parliament, I will dare to speak up for all of you. Don't take a look at me and see that I'm so short. I don't dare to do anything. Okay? I will fight all the way as long as it's morally right. We will do the right things for Singaporeans. So, lastly, now, let's take a look at the Jalan Besar's master plan for year 2026 to 2030. Some of you, I think, might be residents of Jalan Besar. If you look at their brochure, one of them is Block 1, St. George's Road. Is to upgrade a portion of the drop-off porch. Now, this drop-off porch has been built already long ago. If you look at the photo, you'll see that the drop-off porch is not extended to the road. So, what do? Just suka-suka. Oh, we will put this into the master plan and we will tear down the porch and build a new one. All these are reconstruction is environmentally unfriendly. Do you think that your ministers or their MPs will just suka tear down their renovation in their house and build new one? All this is causing inconvenience to you, the residents. Do they even care about you? Is it a waste of your money? Whose money is it? Yes, it's from your SNC, right? If we are elected as MPs, we will not stand for such irresponsible profligate spending. Any money to be spent, we will make sure it's spent wisely, because this money is yours. Your hard-earned money. Okay? Thank you.
So, okay, here are the speeches getting a bit more fiery. So, that was Mr. Chew Shin Kong, fondly amongst us known as SK Chew. Please do support and elect him into Jalan Besar GRC. He has actually walked the ground and found out about St. George's, and we have been walking the ground. You know, Jalan Besar is not just Jalan Besar MRT. I'll tell you a funny joke, you know. Even Tanjong Pagar MRT is under Jalan Besar. A across the road only then is Tanjung Pagar. So yeah, so Jalan Besar GRC spans all the way. It's Jalan Besar GRC in some ways. You can call it the London or New York of Singapore because it covers Raffles Place and Tanjung Pagar, the CBD areas as well. So if we take this is something like the capital of Singapore, Jalan Besar GRC. It covers the central financial districts. So you heard Mr. Chew, he walked the ground, he went to find out all this information, and Jalan Besar spans all the way to Chinatown, Havelock, Bio Crescent, Jalan Besar spans to Whampoa and Geylang Baru, Sims Drive. If you are a resident of all these places, please do consider electing Mr. Chew Shin Kong for Jalan Besar, one of the members who spoke. Okay, now the second member of the Jalan Besar GRC team, I would like to introduce. She is a nurse by profession and inside info lah, nurses are very hard to get leave, you know. Even during campaign period, hard to get leave. So you can see, you know why PAP don't know and don't understand this and all. You look at among all the PAP MPs, got no nurse by profession. Yeah, all got all sorts of other profession lah, but don't have nurse. So if elected, she would be the first nurse in a long time elected to parliament. Without much to do, I will introduce to you Sarina for Jalan Besar GRC team. She will be speaking in Malay and English. Here you go, Sarina.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Well, I got leave lah. My employer released me. I believe there are many home watchers, and I'm sending my big thank you to you. And apparently, I would like to say a big thank you to all the residents and supporters here who's here with us. Our spirits are high and motivated. Thank you. Greetings and best wishes from me, Sarina Abu Hassan, to all of you here and those watching at home. We are from the People's Alliance Reform Party. Led by a service from the heart person, Lim Tien, who obtained 34.64%, and it was an increase in the last GE2020. And no matter what, we are a credible team and everyone deserves a chance. Opportunity for all, that is democracy, and give us a chance to serve. This is the moment. 3rd of May is the polling day. So this time, vote for PAR. Vote for People Alliance Reform Party. Respected brothers and sisters, there is no check and balance in the state system. So the opposition are like QCs who ensure the approval of a product and is not experimenting. We will not waste this opportunity. This is our opportunity to prove that we are ready to serve you, the people of Jalan Besar. PAR has been working hard behind the scenes. PAR is here for equality. And this is the time our team are equipped and ready, and we have the physical and mental ability to lead. Not only we want to engage you, we want to work with you and walk with you into the parliament and push for free food, health care, and education for school-going Singaporean children. Next, with no emotional, mental, and physical stress, married couples can help to boost our fertility rate. Don't you think so? Okay, a little about myself now. I grew up with 8 other siblings, and we went through a life full of challenges and struggles. But we are lucky to have hardworking parents who taught us on how to be independent, and we learned to survive hardship and empowered. I used to be selling goreng pisang right after school in school uniform and walk to school every day. If elected, I will find measures to timely and consistently reaching out to residents who are unemployed, loners, and sole breadwinner. Supporting every layer of residents, spreading equality, I will raise questions like specific role of CHAS cards and its colored-coded tagging to household status. Next, consistent and human approach mentally, physically, emotionally, and financial means for the young and newly diagnosed moderately heavy medical conditions that can cause struggle to cope, and children included. Again, for our beloved future children, my childhood experience has motivated me and standing here right now. Well, good nutrition are crucial at growing age, and by reaching out to school-going children, whom are the future of Singapore, this is a form of an investment. Good balanced nutrition will definitely boost their well-being, and with that will hinder mental hiccups and malnutrition as they grow along. And not forgetting our beloved elderlies, you deserve free transportation and away with the tapping of cards at each rides. You can then concentrate on yourself and mobility. This is what PA believes in, a transport reforms. People of Jalan Besar. People of Jalan Besar. People of Jalan Besar. We will stay connected to understand the daily struggle of people like us in Jalan Besar and all Singaporeans. We want long-term plans versus short-term payouts. We want jobs that suit our capability, not jobs to fit with no flexibility. A job that can bring in enough for the family. This is bread and butter issues that we are talking about. We don't want unnecessary struggles both at work and at home. Job insecurity is at the peak now, especially for the young or those who are starting to embark in their career, having to compete with non-Singaporeans. I quote, "Despite Singapore's strong economy and low unemployment rate, job insecurity is a growing concern among Singaporeans, fueled by factors like automation, AI, and increasing competition." A 2023 Institute of Policy Studies report found that 35% of Singaporeans workers feared their jobs might not exist in the future. PA will bring all this concern up, and we want long-term plans, not just payouts. Please note that whatever PA strives for, it doesn't cause any unnecessary disturbance to our reserves. We are not here to take over the government or destroy them. The people of Jalan Besar and all Singaporeans, we will walk with you and listen to you with our heart and human ability. We are honest with integrity, and we do what we say and say what we do. Vote for People Alliance Reform Party. Saudara-saudari yang saya hormati, terima kasih kepada penyokong kami yang telah datang di sini. Semangat kami amat tinggi dan kami berasa bermotivasi. Terima kasih. Salam dan ucapan selamat dari saya, Sarina Abu Hassan, kepada anda semua di sini dan yang menonton di rumah. Kami dari Parti Perikatan Pembaharuan PA dipimpin oleh seorang yang berkhidmat dari hati Lim Tien yang telah memperolehi 34.64% undian pada tahun 2020. Tidak kira apapun, kami adalah pasukan yang boleh dipercayai dan setiap orang berhak mendapat peluang. Peluang untuk semua. Itulah demokrasi. Berikan kami peluang untuk berkhidmat. Inilah masanya kerana pada 3 Mei adalah hari mengundi. Saudara dan saudari yang dihormati, tiada semak dan tiada imbangan dalam sistem negeri. Jadi pembangkang seperti QC yang memastikan kelulusan sesuatu produk, bukan melakukan eksperimen. Kami tidak akan mensia-siakan peluang ini. Ini adalah peluang kami untuk membuktikan bahawa kami bersedia untuk berkhidmat. Anda semua orang-orang Jalan Besar. PA telah bekerja keras di sebalik tabir. PAR PA akan ada di sini untuk kesaksamaan. Ini adalah masanya. Pasukan kami telah dilengkapi dan bersedia. Kami mempunyai kemampuan fizikal dan mental untuk memimpin dan mencapai matlamat. Bukan sahaja kami mahu melibatkan anda, kami mahu bekerja dengan anda dan berjalan bersama ke Parlimen serta mendorong untuk makanan percuma, penjagaan kesihatan dan pendidikan untuk kanak-kanak Singapura yang bersekolah. Tanpa tekanan emosi, mental dan fizikal, pasangan berkahwin boleh membantu meningkatkan kadar kesuburan kita. Tidakkah anda fikir begitu? Sedikit tentang diri saya sekarang. Saya dibesarkan dengan 8 orang adik-beradik dan kami melalui kehidupan yang penuh dengan cabaran dan perjuangan, tetapi kami bernasib baik kerana mempunyai ibu bapa yang telah bekerja keras. Jika dipilih, saya akan mencari langkah-langkah untuk menghubungi penduduk yang menganggur, kesepian dan penyara tunggal secara tepat pada masanya dan konsisten. Pemakanan yang baik adalah penting pada usia pertumbuhan anak-anak. Nutrisi seimbang yang baik pasti akan meningkatkan kesejahteraan mereka dan dengan itu akan menghalang masalah mental dan fizikal akibat kekurangan zat makanan. Dan kepada warga emas yang disayangi, anda berhak mendapat pengangkutan percuma dan cukuplah sudah dengan kegunaan kad untuk pembayaran. Ingat, rizab negara tidak mungkin bergoyang walaupun usul-usul ini diterima nanti. Orang-orang Jalan Besar, orang-orang Jalan Besar, orang-orang Jalan Besar, undilah Parti Perikatan Pembaharuan, undilah Parti Perikatan Pembaharuan, undilah Parti Perikatan Pembaharuan. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
That was a rousing speech in both English as well as Malay from Miss Sarina, our second candidate from Jalan Besar GRC. You know, it's made out of 4 candidates. So Mr. Chew Shin Kong, SK Chew, spoken to you. Miss Sarina has spoken to you. So I would now like to introduce not the current but the former 2020 candidate for Jalan Besar GRC, who currently is contesting the single seat of Yio Chu Kang SMC. He's here all the way. And so I was telling you the story about, PAR attracts a lot of educators. He's currently an educator, but you just heard Sarina's speech. By occupation, she's a nurse. But by training, he is a doctor, a medical doctor. However, currently he's a educator and a lecturer in a private school, private college. Without much to do, I introduce you Dr. Michael Fang. He'll be speaking to you in English and Chinese.
Hello， 亲爱的选区们，你们好。假爸不 ？OK， 假爸就好。OK， Yes, countrymen, lend me your ears. Today I speak to you from the bottom of my heart how important this election is. This is the election that will decide your fate for the next 5 years, 10 years, and even 20 years. Why do I say this? This is because the PAP has been bringing foreigners and immigrants at an ever increasing rate. You feel them around you. You feel them in every transportation you take, the cost that you have to pay, in every hospital bill that you face, the stresses that is placed on our system by an overly high immigration rate. Why? Why do the PAP bring in all these foreigners? Well, they say that, okay, we need the labor, our people are not skilled enough to train. But is that true? How many of you have been displaced from your jobs? How many of you feel the pain? Yes, sir, I hear you. You feel the pain. You feel the displacement by foreigners. You feel the pinch each time you eat a bowl of porridge or a plate of char kway teow. Do you know how much a plate of char kway teow costs nowadays? $5, $6, $7, $8, right? Even some places. Why is it going so high? Now the PAP tells you that inflation is global. Right. It's global, but why are we then still the highest rate of inflation country in the world, or the highest cost of living country in the world? To run a race, to be number one, don't you need to put in extra effort? Yes. So basically, not just global factors, local factors have also caused the inflation. So therefore, what we seek to do, what PAR seeks to do, is to firstly address the cost of living issues. And one of the first steps is to bring down GST. Because what did PM Lee tell you in the past? He tells you that unless there is profligate spending, GST should not be 9% or should not increase. Yet, what have they done to you guys? They have raised GST from 7 to 9%. And do you know how much a cup of coffee costs nowadays? Yes. And after election, it's going to get worse. So, let me ask you what affects the most important question of your life. What are you going to eat for tomorrow? What are you going to eat in 5 years? What are you going to eat in 10 years? With your retirement savings, especially for retirees, how much they can save and spend is only a limited amount. With each passing stage of inflationary measures that the PAP government does, your reserves are actually shrinking. Your money in the bank is actually shrinking in terms of purchasing power. Last time, for example, you could buy 100,000 maybe, cups of coffee or 2,000 plates of char kway teow. If you can buy only 2,000 plates of char kway teow in the past, right, before 2020, now it's probably like 500, right? You see what's going on? Right, with the progress, unchecked inflationary policies of the PAP, what will happen to you if there's no opposition in Parliament? Already, there are so few. We seek every one of you to bring us into Parliament so that the PAP policies can be checked, so that we can have a future, so that we can have a life. We need all this in our hands. So guys, please take back control. Yes. Now, we are talking about the savings of elderly people. How about young people? Don't they need to accumulate savings as well? That is why, sirs and gentlemen, we need to make a stand. We can no longer allow the fear tactics of the PAP to intimidate us. It is time to make a stand, maybe our last one. We can no longer afford to let them go unchecked. If we let them go unchecked, what happens in the next 5, 10, and 15 years, you guys can only imagine. I speak to you from the bottom of my heart, not just because I see the pain around me, I feel the pain as well. All right? I stand before you as a candidate for Yio Chu Kang SMC because I feel for them. I want to bring down the cost of living, make it more affordable for every one of you. I want to protect elderly savings so that it can last longer. Maybe up to the end of your retirements, okay? Let's make it happen. We will shout with one voice that we have it. The people will not be intimidated anymore. Next, I want to protect Singaporean jobs. Protecting Singaporean jobs must be our first priority. Because if we don't protect our own jobs, who will? When the government brings in so many foreigners and sign humiliating treaties such as SECA, giving our rights away to our naturally born jobs as Singaporeans. What do you say about this? Yes, boo, it's an outrage. It is a national humiliation and outrage. SECA is a treaty that should be torn, not just because it is signed with the Indian government, but any government that wishes to import its citizens wholesale into our country. We must take back our pride, our dignity, and our future together again. Say yes to the people. Lastly, I would like to say, let's make healthcare affordable for every one of us. Let's make transportation affordable for every one of us. Let's make our lives more dignified for every one of us. How will Labubus, yes, I don't even want to pronounce their name because it is below my contempt. I do not want to think of a citizen depending on dolls and Labubus and free giveaways, CDCs, ice creams, fish and eggs given to citizens as if they were beggars. No! Our citizens have pride in them. Our citizens are born and bred of Lee Kuan Yew's spirit and iron and fire. We will bring back Lee Kuan Yew's spirit in the opposition. We will show them what the people are made of. Long live the people! Merdeka! This, we will take back control. We will take back our dignity. We will take back the pride of the people. We will build the vision that Lee Kuan Yew has built for us. Majulah Singapura!
That was arousing from Dr. Michael Fang. So, since Dr. Michael Fang brought out Lee Kuan Yew on a much softer, sober note, I would like to quote his son, Mr. Lee Hsien Yang, mentioned, the PAP of today is not the PAP of Lee Kuan Yew, which is rather unfortunate. We hope that now when on my walkabouts, people were confused between PAR and PAP, quite close. You know, the P, you just pull the R already, win already, you know. Yeah, so with that, that was, can I have a round of applause for Dr. Michael Fang once again. After his speech also, I almost forgotten what I wanted to say, you know. Actually, I wanted to say that we are in Jalan Besar GRC at the last 2020 general election. Dr. Michael Fang was in that very team that got 34%. This time round, I hope you give our refreshed Jalan Besar team 50%. Better still, 60% into parliament. And if you are in Yio Chu Kang, elect Dr. Michael Fang in to Yio Chu Kang SMC. Yeah. Merdeka and Majulah Singapura. All right, let's see. I run a round of a roll and see who is our next speaker. All right. Our next speaker is a next member of Jalan Besar GRC. He is a veteran politician and a veteran political campaigner. And I even was surprised to hear he was the founder of SPP. He was a founding member together with Mr. Chiam Si Tong and the late Mr. Sin Kek Tong of SPP. Then he went on and currently he is the Secretary General of the Democratic Progressive Party, who is in alliance with us in the PAR. Without much to do, he is a businessman as well as an experienced person in political circles and campaigns and contacts and connections. Mr. Hamim Elias. A round of applause, please.
Thank you very much. Good evening, gentlemen, voters of Jalan Besar GRC. I'm happy to see you all here tonight. Make the Jalan Besar GRC alive. Make us happy and alive regarding about this general election 2025. Regarding about the past experience I have with Mr. Chiam Si Tong, now we're going to the future about what we have to do because of the PAP policy that not benefit for Singapore. So, I make a coalition with Mr. Lim Tien and PV and the Reform Party together to make us very strong to face the general election, this coming general election. So, in this night, I will talk about the cost of living, priority to the Singaporean jobs, and then the affordability of the housing now skyrocketed until 1 million, 1.5 million. So our children's, they can afford in the future. So we have to talk about this policy. Another thing is the influx of the foreigners, workers in Singapore. So we have to talk about this. Otherwise, another 5-10 years, we all Singaporeans are left behind. So, talking about the cost of living, I and my team at Jalan Besar GRC since 2023, after we formed this alliance, we go to knock door to doors asking what are their problems. But some I feel very sad when they said sometimes they got no food to eat. Sometimes they got no bus fare to go to the bus and take MRT, public transport. So we have a project called Project Rise to give the poor people who really need it. We take down their address and note down in the paper. So we bring about 10 or 20 rice on that day. We distribute them to the people of Jalan Besar GRC. to make their life easier because of the cost of living is skyrocketed. Then some of them, they really need a wheelchair to move around. They need the mobility of that space in the HDB. Maybe HDB can look into it because, as I know, Jalan Besar is a demographic of about 50 to 60% older people. So they are very slow in mobility, in terms of walking, in terms of crossing the road. So we need, or the government can look into it in Jalan Besar GRC. Once in the pedestrian crossing, I see a lot of, they are really have to be, somebody have to pimpin, to be with them together. Otherwise, it's got a lot of problem. So please help this elderly. Is our senior who built Singapore from independent 1965. So we have to praise them. We have to be good to them. We have to be nice to them. Is it right? Okay, we're talking about housing affordability. Now the 4-room flat BTO, as I heard, the new one is about 400 to 500,000. When I was in 1990, I buy a house. Actually, it's about 145,000 for a 4-room flat. So now it's about 400 to 500,000. That time, I only signed about with the HDB is about 20 years. That means after 20 years, that's how house is belong to me. So it means my burden is not so high on that time because I can pay until up to 20 years. But now, I see and I look at it about 400 to 500,000 for a 4-room flat. They have to work until they about 60 to 70 years old. I think about 30 to 35 years old. So it's very burden to them. So how to make this affordability of this housing? So we have to debate. So you, Jalan Besar GRC, have to vote for us to go to Parliament to check and to debate about the policy that they don't have in their heart. They have to think about Singaporean, how to think about these people. They got their family later. They got their children to bring it up. So the cost is very high. So I plead you all to vote for us in Parliament with all our PAR led by Mr. Lim Tien, is our Secretary General of People Alliance for Reform. Okay, regarding about the jobs in Singapore, I heard we Singaporeans be placed by foreigners. Last time, I think about 20 years ago, when the PAP brings foreigners, oh no, we bring professional foreigners to come to Singapore. We bring doctors professional. We bring lawyers professional. We bring a nurse professional. But now, where is the professional? All low jobs, like normal people, normal Singaporean works. After that, they place these Singaporean jobs. So Singaporean, after that, they have to displaced by the foreigners. They got no jobs. They have to find a jobs. That's my colleagues been interviewed. Mr. S.K. Chew interviewed one of the graduate that he's interviewed. He got 2 times or 3 times be laid off and then replaced by the foreigners. So I hope you have to think hard in next 5 to 10 years. Think hard about our future. Think hard. We have to make changes. People Alliance for Reform will make the changes with our leader, Mr. Lim Tian. Where is Mr. Lim Tian? He is our good lawyers. Okay, I wrap it up. Okay. Can I speak in Malay a bit? Okay, selamat malam kepada pengundi Jalan Besar GRC. Saya Muhammad Hamim bin Alias daripada Parti Pembaruan Rakyat, People Alliance for Reform, mengambil kesempatan ini untuk bertemu dengan rakyat Jalan Besar GRC untuk mengundikan kita PAR, People Alliance for Reform, untuk mendapatkan mandat anda, masukkan kita ke dalam parlimen. Sama semua sekali. PAR, PAR, PAR. Terima kasih. Saya serahkan kepada pengacara.
Okay, so you heard Mr. Hamim speak from the heart, touch on about elderly residents within Jalan Besar and the struggles that they go through, and basically these people are falling through the cracks of our society. Singapore is a rich country, but however, a lot of people are being left behind. I don't think that is right. We have to support them. I mean, whether or not the government helps them, each and every of us as individuals, if we see something wrong, we should step in. We should help the elderly. We should help those who are in rental flats. And as a society, we need a bit of compassion and cohesiveness. Okay, before that, let me introduce you the next speaker. The next speaker, this will be her 3rd general election. In 2010, she contested under the Reform Party in Ang Mo Kio GRC. In 2020 with People's Voice, and currently in 2025 with People's Alliance for Reform under the Alliance. She is a preschool educator, also another industry, childcare teacher, very hard to get leave, always not enough manpower, yeah. And she's currently pursuing a master's degree in special education and inclusivity. Quite a bit of a veteran political campaigner, given this is her 3rd general election. And also, the credentials sounds like elite lah, because because have got now pursuing master's degree, previously has a BSc honors from the banking, BSc honors from the London School of Economics, business management. But however, currently as a preschool teacher, Miss Vigneshwari Ramachandran, everybody.
Good evening, everyone. I'm standing for Jalan Besar GRC. So let me just clear two things from the introduction. How I got my degree is I spent all my father's CPF savings when he could draw it out at the age of 60. He passed away at the age of 70. So all his life savings actually went for my education, and that's how I managed to complete my degree. Yes, so let's move on. Okay. Do you still feel at home in Singapore? Have you ever felt like a stranger in your own homeland? So, that's what many Singaporeans are feeling today. Ostracized, sidelined, and underpaid in our own country. In some jobs, it feels like we are being pushed, and silently, no one dares to speak up about the foreign worker issue, but I will. Let me be clear. Some foreigners are exploited in Singapore. Local pet shop. I saw how foreign workers had their salaries cut by a few $100s. No pay slip, no protection. What does that say about our system? It allows companies to hire foreigners on cheap and suppress salaries for everyone, locals included. It's exploitation for profit. I was talking to a worker, a cashier in a local pet shop. So this is actually happening, real life story at a local pet shop. You'll be shocked. How can they cheat a person's salary? In a first world country, this is happening. There's no check and balance. And I asked her to report the case to MOM. MOM is now investigating. MOM actually told her the company is supposed to pay her 2,100, but she's getting 1,300. Every time she asks, where is the balance? And they just give some reason that doesn't even make sense. So this is happening in our country. They are cutting the foreigners' salary, and that's how they are hiring cheap labor. It's just to put it bluntly, at the end of the day, it's about cheap labor. You don't think Singaporeans got enough talent and enough skill set to actually take on these jobs for a decent salary of minimum wage? And so now look at what's happening to us. MOE is downsizing schools. Teacher recruitment has slowed down. Why? Because of our declining birth rate. Yet, we continue to see foreigners occupying high-paying jobs. Jobs they didn't train for here. While our own wages are kept low. How to raise a family like this? Let's talk about the cost of living. A meal of 2 double filet o fish in Singapore costs as much as a full meal in a posh JB restaurant. That's how bad it has become. And the $11,000 baby bonus, spread it out and it's barely $1,000 a month. But you can't even use it for essentials like milk or diapers. And by the time you deduct infant care fees, easily $2,000 a month is gone in less than 6 months. Meanwhile, ordinary Singaporeans are struggling. I know someone who keeps lending money to families for basic things like school fees and childbirth costs. Is this the kind of society we want, where we rely on one another just to survive while the government tells us to do more and ask less? So this is another real life story. The person, the lender that I'm talking about is sitting down on stage. So this he can verify. One case is a mother of 3, young mom. She just gave birth in the hospital and she calls him and says, I don't have money, can I borrow $2,000? So when I asked how about the $11,000 baby bonus, I heard they put it in quite fast. But you cannot draw it out. It's meant for school fees. So in the end, she still hasn't paid back the $2,000. But that is besides the point. The point is she has to borrow in the first place. And then there's another family. He has young children. And he has borrowed quite a few times for his children's tuition fees, tuition education. He will call, and it's very sad that he has to ask because he has no choice. It's his child's tuition, you see. So he has to pay the fees, but he doesn't have the money. So one may argue, this is personal problem, nothing to do with the government. It's happening to so many people. How can it be a personal problem? Don't you think that it's supposed to be a government's problem now? The government should look into the well-being of the people. That's why we elect them into parliament. Okay. As for me, a bit about back to the foreigners. So does Singapore love its citizen as much as it loves its foreign labours? And do the foreigners love Singapore back the way we are expected to sacrifice for this country? You ask a foreigner, some of them don't even know Singapore politics. They just don't care. You ask them, about Singapore politics? Oh, I don't know anything. But our MPs are supporting them. And don't get me wrong, actually I get along very well with all my foreign teachers. And then it just reminded me of my leave. Unlike my teammate, my leave still not approved. And the thing is, someone online asked me, why WP, why PSP, NSP, all the other opposition don't have this problem, only your leave is affected? I don't know, you go and ask them. Because there's no preschool teacher and nurse that are running for elections there. There are no MPs who are preschool teachers and who are nurses. So they do not know. It's difficult to get leave. We are essential workers. Even in COVID, we need to work. If you are a parent of a preschool child and then you find out there's not enough manpower in the center, you scared or not? You tell me, will you be scared for the safety of your children? I got no choice. I cannot go because my boss say I cannot go. But I tell you, when I get elected, I will quit my job. And then my principal come and find me. You must be careful of what you say because the HQ saw your interview on TV. And then you said that you want to quit your job. I cannot handle, even in campaigning, I cannot get leave. You think after I get elected, I got time to actually juggle the two? Obviously, I must tell the people I will quit my job and serve you full time, right? Doesn't it make sense? Okay. So, for me, I've experienced harassment, bullying and discrimination at my ex-workplaces. I must clarify to some former workplaces. But I didn't give up. So amidst changes of job during COVID, I worked in cold room as an ice packer. You wouldn't believe the low pay. I endured it because I believe in earning my keep. I actually, during COVID, also worked in Jalan Besar GRC. You know the NTUC, the small shop that is along the Bendemeer Road, the small NTUC shop along the Bendemeer Road. NTUC shop, they call it. I was working there for a few months during the COVID period as a cashier. I don't know if some of you have seen me or recognized me. And then I've stayed at Whampoa Block 82 for 13 years. So what they're talking about walking the ground, I know the ground. And of course, I want to know more of you better. So, as I mentioned, even now as an early child educator in a childcare, I'm struggling to campaign properly because of the government. They released the election dates last minute, making it impossible for workers like me to apply for leave. So when I asked my principal, this election is once in every 5 years. So it's very impromptu. They just released the dates, just last minute. She said, oh, but this is different. This is work. It's not related. So priority is not to your country. You get what I mean? Okay, so I stayed because I care for the safety of the children under my watch. If elected, I will resign and serve you full time. Shall we now go on to talk about housing? Let's not forget housing. 8 years ago, when I applied for my flat, a HDB officer sarcastically said, "Flooring is not free." Of course, I know. Nothing is free in Singapore. Now, residents are telling me how bad the soundproofing is on the HDB walls. With regards to the walls, the flooring, they can hear dogs, nails scraping, and like anything at the corridor, people running or walking or talking, they can hear because the walls are not like of the quality. So we pay so high for HDB, and we have to return it at the back of at the end of 99 years. Without is definitely not an investment plan. So HDB's walls are so thin. Okay, that one covered. Okay, so for the pricing that we are paying is definitely not acceptable. This is not just about policies, it's about dignity. That is about making sure Singapore belongs to all of us and not just the privileged few. But, Lawrence Wong said, don't give oppositions a free pass. But people have been giving them a free pass for so many years. What about that? I will enlighten you about who you should vote for Parliament. We are voting for members of Parliament that have roles and responsibilities, including making laws, involving policies, holding government accountable, and scrutinizing how our money and resources are used and distributed. Our MPs need to be aware of our healthcare, housing, cost of living, education, retirement plans, mental health issues, to name a few. They must be willing to listen and take on different perspectives, not always say opposition's talking nonsense, they don't know what they are saying. When they are elected, they don't know what to do. They should be open to take on different perspectives, looking through different lenses. They must be open to solutions. They should consider our aspirations as one people, one nation, and one Singapore. 我们是新加坡公民。I am told that the protocol is cannot say the pledge. I can say the pledge in Chinese, but I will just say that I'm a Singaporean and leave it at that. MP should also be ethically convicted towards the benefit of the people, not themselves. They should be fair, respectful, including respecting our viewpoints and for the greater good of all. They are not perfect. They don't need to be perfect. But the MP you elect need to be sincere, putting public interest first and not personal gain. Putting all your interests first. Now I will say a few words in Tamil, but I will translate each line. Not to worry, man man lai. Desia. 我的 Tamil 慢慢来 மக்களின் நலத்துக்காக தலைவர்கள் முடிவுகளை எடுப்பதில்லை. They don't take decisions in the best interest of the people. அவர்கள் நீதி ஆலோசகர்களிடமிருந்து ஆலோசனை பெற வேண்டும். They need to sought the advice of financial experts in the group. எங்கள் குழுவில் நிதி நிபுணர்கள் உள்ளனர். We have financial experts in our team of People's Alliance for Reform. அவர்கள் இனி நிதியை தவறாக பயன்படுத்தக்கூடாது. அவர்கள் என்றால் PAP. PAP shouldn't use our funds that is not to the best interest of our people. சீர்திருத்தத்திற்கான மக்கள் கூட்டணி வாழ்க்கை செலவு வேலை முன்னுரிமை மற்றும் சிங்கப்பூரர்களுக்கான ஸ்திரத்தன்மை அதிகம் குடியேற்றம் பிரச்சனைகளை மற்றும் with regards to immigration problems, immigration issues, People's Alliance for Reform will look into these matters when elected in Parliament, as well as job security for Singaporeans. GSTA வரம்பு உட்பட சிங்கப்பூரர்களுக்கான வீட்டின் உண்மையான உரிமை குறித்து பேசுவோம். True ownership of HDB will be brought up in detail, as well as GST on basic essentials to be eradicated. தேர்தல் தேதிகளை வெளியிடுவதில் PAP தங்கள் வழிகளை கடைசி நேரத்தில் மாற்ற வேண்டும். In order to have a fair play, PAP should stop releasing campaign dates and polling dates as well as nomination dates last minute. To have a fair play, if they are fair, they will stop doing that and give a fair opportunity for the opponents. என்பதையும் நான் சேர்க்க விரும்புகிறேன். அன்புள்ள சிங்கப்பூர் குடிமக்களே, dear Singaporeans, இந்த வரவிருக்கும் தேர்தல் சீர்திருத்தத்திற்கான மக்கள் கூட்டணிக்கு வாக்களியுங்கள். We wish for your vote. If you don't know who to vote for, just vote for us. At least we don't lose our deposit. All this that you see is all the candidates' money. Every single hard-earned time, money and effort put in by all of us. We hope to get your support. நாங்கள் தனித்து நிற்கும் வித்தியாசமாக இருக்க துணிகிறோம். We are different and we dare to stand up for issues that no other party wants to talk about. We will talk for you in Parliament. PAPA அவர்களின் இடத்தில் வைக்க வேண்டும். நன்றி. We will put PAP back in their place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Vignesh. Okay, I received some feedback from the audience. Hey, I received feedback very fast, not like PAP MP receive feedback, but, sit on it. People have mentioned that we are addressing problems. What's your solution? Okay, we don't have any magical or miraculous solution, but we got some proposals that can work. For example, any and every product or service is subjected to rental prices of real estate or transportation prices. Even human beings such as us, either our housing, which is a part of real estate, or when we move is transport, any goods or service. So if you manage to have rent controls where rich landlords do not charge the working business owners, the hawkers, the shop owners, the stall owners high rent or keep on increasing rent year on year at a very ridiculous rate, or of course there's inflation so I'm not telling totally cannot increase. Let's say if it was 2.5% per year, 3% per year, there must be some sort of cap. I have seen people raise rent 30%, and that is normal. I've seen people raise rent 50%, half, of the current rent. So you see a lot of businesses close down, or even if those who operate, right, they've got to increase the price because whether they earn enough net income or not, they got to pay rent. So a very bold proposal that I'd like to propose is rent controls. Yeah, that's one of the solutions, rent controls. This one is because among some of the candidates' speech, I keep hearing feedback, so I respond to that. Yeah, I'd like to have rent controls. The PAP does not have any rent control policies, but that is maybe for the corporate or private owners of investors of property. But the biggest renter the biggest landlord seems to be in Singapore is the government themselves. So definitely can control rent prices. Imagine those HDB shops, if the HDB does not charge that high of a market price, but they bring down the rent. And I mean, when it comes to HDB, it's not one problem. My friend from the SDP, Dr. James Gomez, has pointed out it's a myriad of problems. So, like one of them is HDB, which is the government, right? If you all tell me HDB is not government, I don't know what to say. But HDB is the government. The Singapore Land Authority, SLA, is also the government. Is the government paying the government for land costs? This itself causes the price in the bigger mechanics of things to go up. The buying and selling price of HDBs to go up in the long run. As you have seen, the BTO prices, the resale prices, it is a big mechanics because the BTO price is pegged to the resale price. So before that, anyway, because before we get on, I'm just emceeing still, not my turn to speak yet. I'll introduce you our next candidate. Also has stood for election a few times under the Reform Party. He stood in West Coast GRC as well as Radin Mas SMC couple.
Good afternoon to everyone, especially residents of Jalan Besar GRC. I like to take this opportunity. My colleague from Jalan Besar, Vignesh, she was saying something about gerrymandering. And in the parliament, when Hazel was saying something, Mr. Chan Soon Seng was saying something today, a few days back. We only talk loud during the 9 days. But 9 days is just a short time. But when he was questioned on the gerrymandering and changing of the goalposts on and off, did you notice something back? We don't have goalposts already. We want to put it somewhere else, or this side or left side, because they don't seem to have the ability to fight an election with confidence. They like to rush through. But now I'd like to bring back to you something. Everybody is talking about cost of living. Cost of living stems from many years of falling TFR. We have been losing our age. We are not replacing even the husband and wife ratio of 2. Why? That is something we need to ask. Some people will ask me and tell me, Kumar, Kiana, I like to live alone. I like to have a life companion. Why? Too expensive. If I want to buy a house, 3-room flat, 300,000. How to earn when I'm only paying? I'm earning about $3,000. So life patterns and lifestyle has changed for Singaporeans. But to increase the TFR, we have to do something. What we have to do? To increase our fertility rate. To increase our fertility rate, the next step is important. our generation should be able to have a comfortable living with a comfortable job, with a comfortable wage that they could sustain their family. One of the biggest and optimal issue now they are facing is cost of living. Even the basic necessity, bread and butter, even cost about 5 or 10 years ago in the range of $3 to $4. But I think nowadays you have a breakfast in the range of $5 to $6. On the daily, you have to spend more. But what happened? The wages are not going in tandem with the cost of living. Why? We have been displaced in many industries. Even lately, our foreigners are taking over jobs in the security and many more years to come. Other jobs has been, other agency has been privatized. So in order for you all to do something, we need a balanced slate of opposition. With the increased slate of opposition, the parliament will be more vibrant, more vigorously debated, and you can see no more absentees from the incumbents. When you start not to put in more opposition, that is what is happening now. But in this May, I believe that more opposition will be elected into parliament this time around. For that to happen, remember something. Opposition candidates who are elected into parliament, they only can do one thing. They can influence the policies. Remember, we have restriction. The only thing that you can do now is to increase the 1/3, deny them we need to increase our 1/3 representation of opposition candidate in parliament. When you are not going to do that, don't every day complain, today, tomorrow, years to come, because it is your duty on 3rd of May to cross wherever possible, across in the opposition ward. The only thing the opposition can showcase is only the town council issues. We can run the town council. Who said no? But we have been put into so many difficulties. But remember, keep an open mindset. The town council is just an extended arm of what has happened when they privatized HDB. But today, what happened? When Mr. Chamsitong won his ward and he was running the town council, wasn't he run it well? And equally, after then on, the Workers' Party, with the help of Chamsitong, they even did it better to win another GRC. So now I'm putting this question to you. Don't fear that your town council will be downgraded. You must understand the structure of a town council has to be in the mindset that it should be run by the people who elected you, not by consultants. When you don't have a stake of yourself in the town council, all the jobs will not be to you. So what happens? So what I'm trying to tell you is, when we are MPs, we want numbers. When we have numbers, we can influence. But only thing that the town council can do better is, when we are in control, some of the decision is within our range. When I give you one example, when I was touring around my ward, I saw a few food court and toilets. Okay? Each time, if you ever remember, each time you have to go to the toilet, you have to pay 10 cents. Huh? You know how much amount of money would you be paying in a month? Remember that. That money could be accumulated into a sum per month to serve people who have financial difficulties. Remember, what goes around comes around. So, anything that we do in anything in the town council should benefit the people in their respective constituency, because every constituency is different in size and people. Aging population is one factor to consider and many other factors. So now I put to you, when you come on 3rd of May, make a choice. When the choice comes, do cross more opposition into parliament. Thank you very much.
All right, so that was Mr. Kumar, a short one on that, and it was a rousing speech, short and arousing. My next speaker is actually Singapore's only human rights academic and fellow from the University of York, England, and people know who she is roughly. You see, I can see her, the whistles coming similar, the tune to her name. So my teammate at Tanjong Pagar GRC standing with me this time round, and hope we get elected. Without much, I would like to introduce Han Hui Hui.
Good evening, Singaporeans. 各位新加坡人，傍晚好。我的名字是韩慧慧。弄的韩慧慧，韩海南人，家己人。我人无惊天，无惊落雨，我人就知道，我的惊的是啥物？我人惊的是人民心独当的政策。People are asking, how did we even get nominated when we didn't post anything on social media about our walkabout, about our house visits? The reason is simple. Because we have been walking the ground for the past 15 years. 5 years in Radin Mas SMC. 10 years ago, I held a thank you dinner at Teluk Blangah. 10年前，我参加竞选，我们走了这整个地区15年了。10年前竞选完后，我们在德洛布朗嘎感谢居民。感谢居民的时候呢，那个地方叫做拉丁马市。然后现在很多人就问我的党员，诶，为什么会现在在这里竞选？竞选的是当荣八个。Why is it that I used to be standing for Radin Mas SMC and now I'm at Tanjong Pagar GRC? Because the place whereby I had my most supporter at Teluk Blangah is now a Tanjong Pagar GRC. Why is that so? Because of gerrymandering by the government, by the luring political party that has been there for more than 60 years. They have won the seat here. We know this is a stronghold. Tanjong Pagar GRC is the stronghold of the PAP. We know it is not an easy fight. But if we don't take the first step, who will? 大荣八个拉丁马市，他们讲是行动党已经当选超过60年了。新加坡还没有独立，他们就已经当选了。这样子，我们来这里是不是找死？这个地方这么难，为什么还要参加竞选呢？如果一个东西很难的话，我们就不要，我们就放弃。这样子，新加坡人怎样会被唤醒 ？If there is a walkover at Tanjong Pagar GRC at Radin Mas SMC, the voters will never vote. They don't even know that they have the right to vote. All Singaporeans should have the right to vote, and there should be no walkovers. My name is Han Hui Hui, and what does 3H stand for? First stage, housing. Repeat 3 times. Housing. 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 第一个 H 就是我们的房屋。 我们的祖屋。And people are saying, what's your solution? We can provide a solution now. In the year 2020, it was published in Singapore Parliament that the government spent $2 billion on land costs and $1.5 billion on construction costs. 2020年，新加坡政府他们在国会里面发出来的文告是讲说，我们建这个公共组屋，它的地皮，它卖了20亿，可是建的钱是多少？建的钱是15亿。This means land costs make up 57% of the cost of our HDB. 卖土地的价钱是57%，这是2020年。可是土地不是新加坡人的吗？ Shouldn't the land belong to Singaporean? In the year 2022, 2 years later, 2年后，在2022年，他们又在国会讲说，他们把地皮变成32亿，而工程的钱是多少？工程的钱变成20亿，这样子地皮是算多少钱？增加了5%，变成差不多62%。So 2 years later, they increase the land cost and say, oh, land cost is expensive. How much is it? $3.2 billion. And what is the construction cost? $2 billion. It has increased 5% to 62% going to land costs within 2 years. So what is the solution? The solution that we are going to provide is that if you, Tanjong Pagar residents, vote for my team and I, Han Hui Hui, we will enter the parliament, we will speak up for you. We will tell the people, we will tell the members of parliament, we will tell all the people sitting in there that we want land costs to be reduced. The PAP has published, they do not want to increase the land costs. Did they? No, they didn't. In fact, they say that they are going to continue to increase the land costs because they say otherwise they will sell the land to other private companies. Come on, land for Singaporeans, houses for Singaporeans. 人民行动党他们有讲说要把土地的皮价格变低吗？没有，他们讲说他们只会越变越贵 ，pay and pay。人民行动党他们讲，他们不止把土地的皮要越卖越贵，他们讲如果你不要买的话，他们卖给私人公司，这样子新加坡人住哪里？新加坡的土地是属于新加坡人的。Vote for our Tanjong Pagar GRC team. Vote for Han Hui Hui and my team. We will enter parliament. We will tell them you need to stop increasing land costs and gradually reduce. We are not saying that, oh, we are going to scrap everything. Even if we say that it will not be passed in parliament. We have a first world parliament, then we will have debates. But do we have debates about such policies? No. This is why you need to vote for us to speak up inside the parliament so that your voice can be heard. 你们需要把票投给我们，投给韩慧慧，投给我们的党，我们的组员，这样我们才能进入国会，帮你们申冤。你们给他这么多年，超过60年的空头支票，他们以前卖的土地是几乎没有算进去，只是工程的钱。现在越变越贵，你们薪水根本跟不上。You gave them the blank check for more than 60 years. You told them, well, you can just continue to increase land costs because you voted for them, and that's why they are in power. If you want your voice to be heard, you have to vote for me. Vote for Han Hui Hui and my team so that we can enter parliament to speak up on your housing issue. And our solution is that we will tell them to stop increasing the land costs and to gradually reduce the land costs. What is the second H? Healthcare. Repeat 3 times. Healthcare. 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 第二个最重要的东西就是我们的医疗保健。看比了安怎看？我人有安尼多钱在咧讲这金内面，安怎袂使动袂使用？不是我人的钱吗？ the Singapore government has collected a lot of money from our MediShield Life, from our MediShield Fund. And people are saying, so what is your solution? From the year 2016 to the year 2019, the government has collected $8 billion from our MediShield Fund. This $8 billion, the government say it is not enough. Why is it not enough? Because they paid $3.5 billion as payout. So what about the $4.5 billion? They say they need to keep. Keep for who? The future generation. If Singaporeans are dying because they can't pay for their medical bill, they are not even alive anymore, what future generation are you talking about? The PAP? 人家讲，你们讲医药不好，你们讲新加坡的医疗保健不好，为什么呢？那这样子，你们有什么政策？你们有什么方案？为什么不好？很简单，从2016年到2019年，政府收了80亿，可是他们赔偿了35亿，他们说还是不够，要增加我们的 MediShield Life Premium。这个 MediShield Life Premium 增加了，可是你要记住，80亿还了35亿，你还有45亿，这个钱在哪里？他讲要留给后代，后代可以用。如果老人看病已经没有钱还医药费了，人家已经不活在这个世上，你的后代是谁？ Singaporeans who can't afford medical bills, who are not reproducing, our TFR is way below 1. TFR for Chinese Singaporeans is even worse. What future generation is the PAP talking about? Are they talking nonsense? 那是我人爱空卡桥了，我袂使用我人的钱，我人的钱除了迄刀安尼做，袂使用。啊，你看人民会使做啥物？若是你把你的票投给我人会使立刻改问，会使卖起价无？如果你把你的票投给我韩慧慧，投给我和我的党，我们可以进入国会帮你申冤，讲说医药费所拿到的钱已经超过了，我们不可以再增加所谓的 MediShield Life Premium 了。而且还不要紧，这个 MediShield Life Premium 是越老越贵，老人都没有工作，看医生没有钱，你还要增加他的钱，你良心就多了。这个是没良心的政府。这种政府，如果他们没有良心 ，if they don't have the conscience, the compassion for our fellow Singaporeans, for our elderly who are suffering, then what about the future generation that they so-called care about? They don't care. Because if they care, they will think of policy to increase our total fertility rate. The Tanjong Pagar MPs inside the parliament say that nobody is giving birth because it's the tiger year, the dragon year, or whatever. But they never take the blame because they are an irresponsible government with no accountability. 没有负责任的政府。他们怪老虎年，怪龙年。却没有怪他们自己人民行动党的政策，把票投给我们，我们进入国会，跟他讲医疗保健所收的费用不可以再增加了，然后慢慢的我们要把钱让人民可以用，因为他得到的钱已经多于他所付的赔偿了。Vote us, vote for Han Hui Hui, vote for us into parliament so that we can speak up for you and your grievances to stop increasing MediShield Life Premium and gradually decrease. It will not decrease overnight because we have to debate about it in parliament. And we can only voice out and debate about it inside the parliament if you vote for us. What is the third H? Third H is human rights. Repeat 3 times. Human rights. Human rights. Human rights. And the first right is our children's rights. Because they say they care about the future generation. They care about the future generation so much that there are so many children being bullied in school. Why are children bullied in school? People will say, what statistic are you going to talk about? Well, do you know that the Minister of Education, none other than Tanjong Pagar GRC MP, Minister, mentioned in Parliament that last year, he has his report card. For the past 5 years, you guys voted for him. Tanjong Pagar resident voted for him. And in the past 5 years, he mentioned in Parliament, his report card is that only 6% of students from low-income families manage to have their children get into DSA, Direct School Admission. 所以丹戎巴葛的居民5年前他们投票，投给了行动党的部长，行动党的教育部长。然后他的报告卡拿的是什么？他的报告卡在过去的5年，他得到的是6%的低收入家庭有办法把孩子养成精英类。Is this a meritocracy that the PAP brags about? Because it is a failure. 94% are wealthy, rich children of their own kind of elites. What about us? What about average Singaporeans? What about the low income? We make up only 6%. 低收入的小孩只有6%可以进入好的学校。那解决方案是什么？ It's very simple. 10-20 years ago, when the government has this financial assistance scheme, they target to help a quarter of Singaporeans, the bottom 25% of Singaporeans. But now, they are only helping the bottom 10% of Singaporeans. The remaining bottom 15% lower middle income, they are struggling. They can't break this cycle of poverty. That's why they resort to CDC voucher. What is the solution? We need to increase this percentage of children that we want to help. Instead of just the bottom 10%, if you vote for us into Parliament, we will talk about how we want to increase this to the bottom 15%. We will gradually increase from 10% to 15%, 20%, and back to 25%. Let Singapore be a country of real meritocracy. 他们以前帮助低收入的家庭，是帮助最低的25%。可是他们过后执政了60年，渐渐的就把这个最低收入的25%减低，到现在只剩下最低收入的10%，新加坡人才来帮助他们。而这样子的话呢，那些中等低收入，接下来15%或者少过50%的这些小孩子，没有人去帮他们，我们没有政策去帮他们。我们要怎样才有政策能帮助这些小孩子，帮助我们新加坡人的后代呢？就是把我韩慧慧和我的党投进国会。我们投进国会，我们就会帮你们伸冤。我们会跟他们讲，解决方案就是慢慢从10%变成15%，增加到20%，然后复回到25%。我们要帮助我们的低收入家庭，让他们真的能够不要活在贫困里，让他们解脱，让他们生出精英的小孩子，真的有办法成为社会的精英，帮助我们新加坡，领导我们新加坡。And then, back to the bullying. There are a lot of bullying in education. And where did these children learn their bullying from? Children learn the best from their parents. And why is it so? Because parents are the first role models to the children. And why are parents bullying their own children? So many parents are abusing their own children, killing them because of the high cost of living. Is it because Singapore is stressful? So what are they stressful about? Employment rights. Repeat 3 times. Employment rights. Employment rights. Employment rights. In Singapore, the government has no minimum wage. In Singapore, the government only fight for their multi-million-dollar salary. They say if they don't collect that money, they will have no dignity. They will become corrupted. Is that so? They collect multi-million-dollar salary. They become the minister and they are still corrupted. They 他们讲说，他们的薪水很高，可是因为他们需要尊严， 所以我们普通新加坡人就不需要尊严吗？他讲说，如果他没有拿这样高的薪水，他就会变成贪污。你变成贪污是因为你品德有问题。你係頭殼派，你係頭那粒罪是你的代志。你咪講哦，你冇好話你啊，我就會貪污。你根本就是一個想要貪污的人 ，because the rod is on the top, the rod is at the top. They care about their multi-million-dollar salary, so they will go into parliament and only fight for themselves. They don't fight for Singaporeans. They say they care about cleaners, and they only pick cleaner out of so many jobs. Take, for example, a petrol station, a pump attendant. 10 years ago, the salary was about 1,500 to 2,000. 10 years later today, the salary is still 1,500 to 2,000. Why is that so? Because no one in parliament talks about it, and no one pick it out, and no one voice it out in Singapore's parliament. So you need to vote for me so that I will speak out in parliament to talk about all the low-income jobs in Singapore. You need to vote for Han Hui Hui. Vote for me and my team so that we can talk about it in Singapore. That there are so many low-income jobs that are way below 3,000. It's not just cleaner. Don't always pick a 1K story and then say, oh, look, we are a good government. No, you are not. People are suffering, and that's why you are using CDC voucher, $1 grocery to buy votes. 10年前，打油站的油工薪水1500到2000。10年后的今天，打油站的人工薪水还是1500到2000，没有人帮他们申冤。而这不只是一个工作而已，不只是清洁工人、打油站的工人。新加坡有很多低收入的工作，可是这些人都没有人帮他们申冤。所以选民们，你们要把你的票。当容八个的选民们，你的票如果投给我韩慧慧，还有我的党，我们会进入国会，帮你们申冤，帮你们发出信息。The next thing, people will say, okay, I'm well-to-do. We met a lot of such residents, especially at Bukit Timah area, at Stevens Road. But Stevens Road got serious flooding issue. So there are sewage, repiping, all this. And now, people are also saying, okay, I'm doing well. So I have a house, I have my healthcare bill, I can afford private healthcare. Why should I care? If you are a wealthy person, but you are still an employee, you need to care about childcare rights, your family rights, your childcare leave. Because in Singapore, the government claims they want to boost fertility rate, but childcare leave is only 6 days. They have this so-called extended childcare leave at 2 days. And it is not 6 plus 2 days. It is actually 6 days when your child is below 7 years old and 2 days when your child is below 12 years old. A lot of people have this misconception that this childcare leave is per child. No, it is per family. So how can you increase the childcare, the birth rate, the fertility rate when you are only giving for the whole family rather than per child? You think your whole family children fall ill at the same time? They're going to see doctor at the same time? 政府讲说他要把生育率提高，当然8个的最厉害，他怪老虎怪龙，然后到最后呢，他们讲说我们会让父母亲拿假期，假期是几天？如果你的孩子是少过7岁，假期是6天。他讲没问题，我们就有一个 extended 的。所谓 extended 的，它只是给你2天。可是不是6加2天，而是当你的孩子是少过12岁，他给你2天而已，是一整个家庭只拿2天。他这样子有办法把生育提高吗？如果生很多小孩的家庭，你认为小孩子是全部同时生病吗？你认为小孩子要看医生的预约全部会在同一天同一个时间吗？没有。那他们讲出这样子的话 ，What is your solution? If you ask, if you, Tanjong Pagar GRC resident, vote for me, Han Hui Hui, vote for my team into parliament, we will ask for changes, we will voice out your grievances and say that instead of per family, we will change it to per child. All children, especially people who want to have multiple children, They should have the attention span being given to each and every one of their children. Instead of having 6 days to be divided into so many children, they can have 6 days each with their individual child. If you really care for Singaporeans, our future generation, our total fertility rate, we will enter the parliament and we will speak up for you so that we can increase our total fertility rate, not import foreigners. 他们讲他不要生孩子，新加坡人不要生孩子，反正他自己也没有生。你自己没有生是你的代志，你莫叫人民卖死。你若是去落卡，你去问，做 interview 每次都讲说很多人啊，做采访的时候都讲，很多人是想要有家庭，可是物价贵，医药费贵，然后又没有办法好好的陪孩子，所以这些都是政策的问题。如果是政策的问题，我们要怎么办？当然，你们可以不选择投我们，我们就一直在那边讲。可是讲了过后，只要没有进去国会，政策是不会变的。你们需要把你们的票投给我，投给韩慧慧，投给我和我的党。You, Tanjong Pagar GRC resident, we can say all we want, but as long as you don't vote for us, we cannot enter parliament. We can never voice it out for you and change the policy. Please vote for me, Han Hui Hui and my team. Thank you.
All right, you heard Han Hui Hui, you heard rest of the speakers, and you have heard me intermittently speak. So, our main issue is the cost of living. So, I've earlier mentioned that one of the problems that we can solve or we can propose to solve is to reduce land costs gradually. Han Hui Hui has brought it up as well. Another measure that we could propose is rent control. We can propose all this, but it will reach deaf ears unless we are elected into parliament. So wherever we are standing, let it be Lim Tian at Potong Pasir SMC, let it be myself, Han Hui Hui, Mr. Rickson here, Mr. Mani here in Tanjong Pagar GRC, let it be Dr. Michael Fang in Yio Chu Kang SMC, let it be our Jalan Besar GRC team with Mr. Hamim, Miss Vigneshwari, Miss Sarina and Mr. Chiu Shin Kong. Wherever PAR are standing, you should vote for these proposals. Rent control to bring cost of living down of services, of goods. Reducing land sales to bring down the HDB prices. So whenever people ask for solutions, the PAP say, opposition are criticizing, you guys don't have the solutions. But wait, we can't form government. Isn't it their job? They are trying to outsource their jobs to us. So why do they get paid multi-million-dollar salaries? That is being part of the problem, and it's ridiculous. One more thing is, what is ridiculous is government spending, wasteful spending. We have in Singapore, not one, but 5 mayors. 5, not one. Just imagine this. New York City, you have got 1 mayor. The City of London, you have got 1 mayor. In Singapore, uniquely Singapore, we have got 5. And who are paying for them? It's taxpayers. So, whenever everyone speaks about election time and handouts and goodies and whatnot, remember, I would like to quote a former British Prime Minister, the late, great Margaret Thatcher. There is no such thing as free money. There is no such thing as public money. There is only taxpayers' money. The money has got to come from somewhere, and it comes from every one of us. We pay income taxes. We pay road taxes, ERP, and in the past few years, we've not just paid GST, but we paid increased GST, which has caused cost of living, which has caused high cost of living, which has caused the basic essentials of food, water, electricity, mobile, internet to go up. So we do pay taxes. We pay a lot of hidden taxes. For example, people need to move around. Let's say buy a car. We pay, it brings me back to Trump tariffs. They're always speaking about fear factor. It is not new, For this election is the Trump tariff. This has been going on since 2001. The September 11 attacks, they were like, oh, global terrorism. We need to have safety. Vote PAP. No. Then it was in 2006. They did it again. The same old story of if you vote opposition, your town councils will become slums. And they started to point arrows back then in Potong Pasir, at Taogang. And, this is funny. They did not allocate the relevant funds towards opposition-held town councils. They were back of the queue, similar to how Singaporeans nowadays for job queue seems to be going to the back of the queue. We, PAR, remember PAR, not PAP, People's Alliance for Reform will put Singaporeans to the front of the queue again for education, for employment and entrepreneurial opportunities. We are looking for the ABCs, accountability, balance and checks. We are a country where the disparity is going on, where the minister is highest paid, even higher than President Donald Trump or any other prime minister. We just not just complain. Our proposal, everyone wants to know solutions and proposals, right? For the ministers to get in touch with the average, everyday, ordinary, honest, hardworking Singaporean is to reduce minister salaries by 70%. And this is the best part, this is the kicker. Despite reducing after 70%, their pay will still be higher than the other world leaders. So we want not out of the world salaries for political leaders, but real world salaries to match up to the rest of the world and not tell us the same old uniquely Singapore. That's quite... Yeah. So... with all that, and of course, we do have solutions, but most of our proposals and solutions would reach deaf ears if we are not elected. The only platform we have here to hold the government accountable, or to hold the PAP accountable, is this campaign period in these 10 days. But that is not enough. We need to hold them accountable day in, day out, 5 years through parliament term. And PAP MPs, I wonder how do they keep up? They have full-time jobs, high-paying jobs. Then they have evening meet the people session. For example, why I keep on proposing or emphasizing for MPs who have a income or allowance of about 13,500 or 14,000 thereabout, to be full-time MPs is not every one of their constituents work office hours or similar hours to the MPs where they can meet the MPs in the evening. What about people who don't get to meet their MPs, such as shift workers? Apparently, these are the people who are being let down and forgotten and left behind no longer. So, we always encounter in the 15 years that, Han Hui mentioned that we are walking the ground. Back then, it was the low income, those who are struggling, those who are suffering. But these days, even the middle income are suffering and struggling as well. The average median pay is about between 4,000 to 5,000, and that is including CPF. So imagine 50% of people are earning lower than this, yet part-time MPs are earning 14,500 on top of that, and 14,500. So this is the disparity. A part-time MPs earning close to 3 times of median average income, while they still have full-time jobs. And then there are MPs who are mayors. So I have no idea what do they do, and why don't we have just one mayor? Why do we have 5? I'm puzzled, and a list of myriad of things that I'm confused and puzzled about. All right, is that Jalan Besar GRC the way how it is carved. You know, all the way around here up to Kent Road is Jalan Besar GRC. Just across the road, Pekio Market is not far from here. Is Farrer Park, is Tanjong Pagar. And of course, in Chinatown, just beside the road with Tanjong Pagar, the Tanjong Pagar MRT is in Jalan Besar GRC. It's quite funny, isn't it? I'm asking for accountability towards the electoral boundary redrawing. And it's not just before elections. 5 years of parliament term. And you know, just imagine, PAP MPs are currently sleeping in parliament. There are a lot of photos of that. Just imagine if you elected Han Hui Hui, if you elected Mr. Lim Tian, if you elected myself, or any of our candidates here. Do you think we'll let them sleep in peace, especially in parliament? Well, let alone parliament. They might not sleep at night as well if we were in parliament. So I've said as much as I've wanted to say. Most of our candidates have covered all the points of our rising cost of living, our rising prices of public housing, our health care, and as well as our immigration and jobs. Our jobs that we are losing out to immigrants, and the immigration influx has caused overcrowding in the MRTs and buses and waiting times for hospital beds. We have all said that. You just have to vote for us. Vote for PAR in everywhere that we are standing. And before I make my end of speech, the moment that we all have been waiting for, you all have been waiting for, is here. The leader's speech, Mr. Lim Tian. Thank you so much. I will use this. All right. Mr. Lim Tian will use the podium mic. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, very good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for coming tonight and attending this rally. I am Lim Tian, the Secretary General of the People's Alliance for Reform. 大家好，晚安。我是林鼎，我也是人民联盟的秘书长，我也是波东巴西的候选人。Now, my colleagues in the party have given you a very good idea of what PAR stands for. All right? And tonight, I want to address you on only 4 issues. Number 1, the cost of living. Number 2, the increasingly unaffordable public housing. Number 3, your job insecurity. And number 4, this invasion by foreign migrants and foreign workers into our country. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take the issue in reverse. I want to start off by addressing the issue of this invasion of foreigners. You know, whenever you say that, the PAP will call you a racist, will call you xenophobic, will call you a nativist. You know, I am the only politician in Singapore who since 2017 has opposed SECA and asked for SECA to be abolished. All right? The Workers' Party, the PSP even, might debate against SECA in Parliament, but they have never ever said that we must abolish SECA. But why do I say we should abolish SECA? Because SECA is a very bad agreement. They say it is a free trade agreement. I say rubbish. It is an agreement that allows Indian workers to come into our land and be employed in 127 professions. And you know, in the last 10 years since I entered politics, I have spoken to so many Singaporeans with very heart-rending stories. One person told me I have been retrenched 3 times, and each time I have lost my job to an Indian national. SECA is not a free trade agreement. SECA is a labor arbitrage agreement. Do you know what is the meaning of labor arbitrage? Labor arbitrage means the employer takes advantage of cheaper foreign labor, brings them in, all right, and the higher cost Singaporean worker is displaced or replaced. And that is the sad thing, my fellow Singaporeans. Because of the PAP's policies, today we have an economy, we have employers who prefer to hire foreigners rather than locals. This must never be allowed to carry on. You know, a prime minister, a minister, they are elected to represent Singaporeans. They are not elected to serve in the best interest of the foreigner, all right? But what has happened in the last 3 years, 2020 to 2024, do you know that in the last 3 years, 91.3%, I repeat again, 91.3% of jobs growth has gone to foreigners. Do you believe that? I mean, do we have a ministry of manpower or do we have a ministry of foreign manpower? I mean, if I am Prime Minister and Tan See Leng is my manpower minister, and he tells me in 2022, 88.5% of jobs growth went to foreigners. I think in 2023, 94.5% of jobs growth went to foreigners. And then you combine it with what happened last year, and it averages out to 91.3%. If he gives me the report card, I will sack him on the spot. All right? I will sack him on the spot. Because you are not going to be manpower minister in any government of mine if you do not show a jobs growth of at least 80% for Singaporeans. Yeah, and they'll come out and tell you, oh, but we can't get Singaporeans to work in certain industries. You know, my friends, you know what is the trouble with our economy? Although they want to tell us that we are first world nation, Singapore is not a high-wage nation, which we should be if we want to be a first world nation. My party's Leong Zi-Hian gave me the statistics some time ago. Do you know that about 35% of the Singapore workforce, 35% of the Singapore workforce takes home less than 2,400 a month after your CPF deductions? Can you imagine, in this most expensive country in the world, all right, we have so many people living on so little. And that is why we take such great objections to paying $660,000 to a mayor, which to me is the most unconscionable job in the whole of Singapore. Because like many of you, I really do not know what a mayor does, okay? What does a mayor do to deserve $660,000 a year? And as Prabhu told you, we are the only party that has advocated for the Prime Minister's salary to be cut by 70%. All right? And you know the disgraceful thing is, even after you cut his salary by 70%, he's still the world's highest paid leader. All right? My friends, the time has come where we must wipe away what previous PAP leaders like Lee Kuan Yew told us, that our leaders must have pay pegged to the top 10% of private sector income earners. You know why? Because as a result of that, we are not having a normal society anymore. Okay? You now have two classes of people, the rich and the powerful, and the not so rich and the not powerful. What is it to the PAP minister if GST is increased by 2%? Do you think it matters to them? But to you and me, all right, it matters, because when your bak chor mee goes from $3.50 to $4 to $4.50 and now $5, that is a huge hit on our income. But why do you have PAP ministers who till today, and Chee Hong Tat just defended the GST hikes again today, didn't he? Saying, oh no, the government has taken care of that problem. No, it has not. Because every 10 cents increase in your drinks affects a lot of Singaporeans. All right? Every 50-cent rise in your bowl of noodles is unaffordable for many people, but not to the PAP ministers. That is why we must normalize our society. And the first step to normalize society is to cut the outrageous pay of our political leaders. First step. I tell you, if I am elected MP for Potong Pasir on the 3rd of May, the very first motion I will introduce in Parliament is to cut the Prime Minister's pay by 70% and to abolish the mayor's position. Now, they say we are rebel rousers. We have no solution. But has the PAP even come up with a single solution on how to lower your cost of living over the years? Have they? Your cost of living is a one-way street, isn't it? Just upwards all the time. Yeah? They have no solutions. The only solution they have, my friends, is to give you CDC vouchers, give you some other subsidies. And you know what? They are treating us as beggars. CDC vouchers to me are the equivalent of the American food stamps. When the poor people cannot afford food, they are given food stamps so that they can survive. Now, my friends, you may ask, what solution does PAR have to lower your cost of living? I tell you, the most important proposal we have come out in this election, which no other party dares to propose, is we want free education, free healthcare, free school meal for every Singaporean child. And you know something? When we say that, the PAP IBs, all right, on social media, they ask the same stupid question over and over again. Who's going to pay? So you're going to have to tax the people more, right? No, we don't. And I have said repeatedly, and I will keep on saying it throughout this election season, Singaporeans do not have to come out with a single cent more in taxes, or neither do we have to dip into our reserves. I will tell you how this money is derived. How do we pay for this extra 20 billion which will entitle all Singaporean child up to university? I'm not talking just about primary or secondary or, even A-levels or polytechnic, all right? Every Singaporean child who wants to go to university and is eligible, is bright enough to qualify for university, should go to university and should not have to pay. You know where the money comes from? Let me tell you tonight. Because the press keeps hounding me for that. I've been holding back. I want to surprise them. Do you know there is a balance of about 13.5 billion every year on your CPF returns? That means what the government earns with your CPF money and what it pays out to you, all right? The 2.5% on your ordinary account, the 4% on your retirement account. There is a difference of 13.4 billion there, roughly, all right? I cannot give you the exact figure, but it is roughly there. Why are they keeping that? Why are they keeping that? That money can be spent on free healthcare and free education, right? And what's the second source? Every year, if you go according to the last budget, about 24 point something billion again, the PAP government transfers into so-called special funds or endowment funds. They say these are for future expenses. Do you know that no other country in the world adopts such an accounting method? No OECD country adopts such an accounting standard. Only Singapore does. That means you are putting away what you intend, all right? Not even made up a decision yet. You intend to spend in future as expenses for this current year. All right? You tell me whether that is wrong or not. Yeah? And you know something? The PAP talks out of both sides of its mouth. It says it is saving for future generation. And yet, Sito Yipin in Parliament, and I called him the GST champion. He was the champion for the GST hikes. And I'm very glad that that he has now stepped down. He can say, we save for the future generation. And yet, he could say in Parliament as well, every generation must be responsible for its own liabilities and expenses. Well, if that is the case, why can't the present generation, including people like you, enjoy the benefits of the government income? All right? And the government has the duty to take care of citizens. Don't forget that. That is the first duty of government. Okay? If you take the 24 billion and the 13 billion, that already gives you 37 billion, doesn't it? It is more than enough to cover free healthcare and free education. And yet today, my friends, Singaporeans pay so much towards MediSave. Do you know that today we have roughly 140 billion sitting in MediSave? And yet, our poor senior citizens, when they go to hospitals and they want to use MediSave, very often, what's the answer they are met with? Oh no, you can only use MediSave for part of it. You have to come up with a cash component for the other. It's disgraceful, isn't it? All right? You keep away so much of your money in MediSave and, you're faced with this further liability when you go to the hospital. I'm telling you, my friends, it is disgraceful that a so-called first world nation cannot afford free education and free health care for its people, when other first world nations like Finland and Norway can. And you know what's always the rebuttal of the PAP again? Oh, but those countries pay much higher taxes. Do you think that you really are a low-tax people? By the time you put in your COE, by the time you put in these outrageous increases on your water, all right, and other utilities, do you really think that you are a low-tax people? So I say to the PAP, don't come and give me double speak, okay? The money is there. But my friends, I ask each and every one of you to educate your friends, because we must start this process of changing our society and not always fall into fear because of what the PAP does. The PAP are a party. They are a government that only knows how to operate on fear. But there is no magic to how you work a budget, my friends, okay? I always remember what a very famous British economist, John Weeks, said. Don't think that those fellas who call themselves finance ministers or those people who work in the finance ministry are rocket scientists. So long as you know how to count, all right, you know how to work a budget. I tell you what a national budget is like. A national budget, the sole purpose of a national budget is to decide the society we want. It is like giving a housewife a sum of money every week. And with that sum of money, the housewife has to decide what type of food to put on the dinner table. Do you want to put maybe a $5 chicken rice meal for your family, or a $10 chicken rice meal for your family? Or do you want to serve them with $20 pasta? All right? So the housewife decides what meals to serve. Now, with the national budget, we decide on the priorities we want. We decide on what our society should look like. If we want to give free health care, we want to give free education, other things we'll have to give. Less benefits, less privileges to the rich and the powerful. Less wasteful expense on things like the Founders Memorial, which nobody wants. Cutting down a bloated civil service. You know Lee Kuan Yew, and I am the generation that grew up under Lee Kuan Yew, all right? I'm a baby boomer generation. I'm 60 years old this year. I still remember Lee Kuan Yew at one of the National Day rally speeches said, I run a very tight ship. Do you think that today the Singapore government is a tight ship? All right? And you look at some of their projects. You look at the MRT lines. You look at the Thomson, I don't know what they call it, the TEL. Most times when I take it, the trains are empty or, almost empty. And then when I walk into some of the MRT stations, like the one at Bayfront or one of these that is near to Gardens by the Bay, or it's Gardens by the Bay, I am shocked at how big those MRT stations are. And they are empty during the day. Are they planning for a 10 million population? Is that the plan? So, my friends, I'm telling you, if I am in Parliament, I am going to fight for wasteful government expenditure to be eliminated. I want to put it into free healthcare, free education, because you know why? That will lower the cost of living. that will encourage Singaporeans to have more children, and that will mean that we do not have to keep importing foreigners. And I say this very honestly to you. I say this very honestly to you tonight. If you ask a Singaporean, and I have asked many Singaporeans, you know, and Singaporeans are a shy people. And they don't like to be labeled racist or xenophobic or nativist. But if you probe further, I'm telling you, my experience is 7 or 8 out of 10 Singaporeans will tell you they are uncomfortable with the number of foreigners in this country. All right? I am not against foreigners. Some of my best friends, my best clients are foreigners. I have lived in many foreign countries. But it is wrong when in 2 generations you introduce so many foreigners into a country that Singaporeans today are looking at you and wondering what you're talking about when you talk about the Singapore identity. There is no Singapore identity, all right? Today, compared to 5 years ago, Singaporeans feel less proud of their country. Why? That is because of mass migration. And you know, the PAP likes to tell you another story. And, you know, all those lapdogs of the PAP, they like to spew this story which is total rubbish. They like to say, we are an immigrant society. All right? And you can't complain because your parents were immigrants as well. And you know the example they always cite? They always cite America. You know, my friends, America today is 250 years old since its independence. In 250 years, even though America has continuously taken in immigrants, do you know what is the immigrant population of America? It is no more than 8.5%. You compare that to the immigrant population of Singapore, which today is nearing half the population. Nearing half. And you know, people have done it over 250 years. You have done it in a span of maybe about 30 to 35 years. And do you think that that is fair? Why I tell you that is not fair? It is tied to the PAP's economic policies like SECA as well. Because these foreigners come in, they displace or replace Singaporeans. And that is why I will never, ever stop my opposition to treaties like SECA. All right? And I want to, if I am elected into parliament, I want to fight to cut net immigration by a lot. Because having so many cheap foreign workers coming in is no advantage to us in the long term. If you want to be a true first world nation, you got to have true first world wages. Not 35% of your workforce earning 2,400 and below after CPF deductions. That is not first world. And then at the same time, you make your country the most expensive in the world. All right? You turbocharge, to use Pritam Singh's words, inflation through GST. You know, Singapore is a small nation. If we are really advanced, all right, our workers can be earning high wages. Like the Swiss. We are on par with Switzerland as the most expensive country in the world. But do you know that that average Swiss citizen earns twice as much as the Singapore person? Imagine, twice. All right? And what more? You are now facing a critical situation, my friends. Do you still remember when HDB resale prices first crossed the $1 million mark? I believe it was about 3 years ago, or even slightly less than 3 years ago. 3 years later, today, HDB is creeping fast towards the $2 million mark, right? And you know something? When I walk the ground in Potong Pasir, and I go to places like Bidadari and Alkaf, expensive places, not cheap. And I ask the young families there, because that place is full of young families, with children 2, 3 years old, some with babies, many with babies. And the fathers tell me, what is their biggest worry? The biggest worry for them is public housing. Because they say, I may be living in this expensive flat now, but I look around me, every resale flat is above $1 million. And I think to myself, how are my children going to afford that? Right? But my friends, my colleagues have given you a litany of other concerns which our party wants to put forth to the electorate in this election. I am not going to go further tonight, all right? But I want to say this to you. Do you think if you elect another PAP MP, he or she is going to really fight for you? Not a single PAP MP objected to the GST hikes. Not a single one. And so I say to you, in this election, you ask every single PAP candidate, especially the new ones, because we know how the old PAP candidates voted. So it's a bloody waste of time to keep asking them, all right? You ask the new PAP candidates 2 questions. Do you agree with the 2% GST hike? Ask them straight in their face, all right? Because I think their answer will be, yes, we agree. Okay? They have to agree because it's their party's policies, right? And then if they say, yes, we agree, then you ask them another question. How are you going to lower my cost of living? Right? As a party, they have no solution. All right? And I doubt any PAP MP is going to give you any solution. I will ask this of my opponent in Potong Pasir as well, Alex Yeo from the PAP. Do you agree with the 2% GST hike your party imposed on poor Singaporeans over the last 2 years? And what solutions have you to lower the cost of living? I tell you, Alex Yeo may be a lawyer, but he will not be able to give you a solution. And so I ask the residents of Potong Pasir, do you want to elect Alex Yeo as your member of parliament? If elected, he will go in and he will just support all of Lawrence Wong's policies. Or do you want to elect Lim Tian, who will go in and be like a tiger and a lion and fight for you? So I say to you tonight, my friends, it is safer for you if you want lower cost of living, you want affordable public housing, you want increased job security, and you do not want so many foreigners in this country. Not that we are illiberal, not that we are negative towards foreigners, but when you have the almost 50% of the population being foreigners, do you think that that is right in such a short space of time? Is it not safer for you to vote for the opposition who can speak up for you and fight unjust PAP policies? Thank you very much. Thank you.
So I started this event as a rally as your MC for tonight. I end it as your MC for tonight as well. After Mr. Lim Tian's fantastic speech, you heard, you know, those days it used to be voting PAP was the safe choice and voting opposition was risky. These days it seems to be voting PAP is the risky choice and voting opposition is a safe choice. You know, I just look at the PAP's manifesto. MRT trains are breaking down. One good point. they want to study nuclear power. Imagine if you had PAP MPs, all right? They would not object that, but we will. We would challenge them to say that, is it even safe? Have they learned from Chernobyl? Have they learned from Fukushima? So the gist of it is, in the past, the PAP was the safe choice. But in the present, PAR and the opposition are the safer choice than the PAP's risky gambles. With that all said, before you guys leave, we would like to take a hand-in-hand moment to take a bow to you guys who have braved the weather. It might have rained to come here, yeah? So a good thank you to each and every one of you who attended, and follow us on social media and follow us on our individual social media pages. We'll keep you updated. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.